Hi, welcome to Saving America's Pets. I'm Holly Sizemore, Chief Mission Officer for Best Friends Animal Society, and this is Rose. She is my co-host today, pinch hitting for BG. Her job is to remind our audience to hit like and subscribe. In episode 16, we continued our discussion about rescue roadblocks. We highlighted Alexis Pugh and Makena Yarbrough. If you haven't checked that episode out, please do so, because today we're going to hear more from them, and specifically how roadblocks and racism are connected in the animal welfare movement. Did you know that there may be biases in the way that we relate to people in our animal welfare work, and we don't even know it? So let's pick up on the discussion where we left off with Makena Yarbrough and Alexis Pugh. As a country, we've had to look at ourselves recently and reflect on systemic racism. Alexis, how do some of the roadblocks fit into systemic racism in animal welfare?
Well, certainly when we talk about a lot of those things that are on the applications, right? So, just look at how your community is built, how my community is built. You know, we're a predominantly African American community here in Memphis at about 67% Black population, and we have a pretty high poverty rate of about 27%. So, by the very nature of those check the box items on adoption, we've already started segmenting out the adopter pool by race. You don't have to put it on your application if those are the realities of your community. If you did, like a census level demographic look at your community and that's the reality of your community, you've already started digging into racism. It's just happening organically because that's how the system was built, right? We talk about like what roadblocks are the hardest to get rid of, right? Like one of the ones we've struggled with is low cost adoptions. The data's there, the science is there, we believe in it, but the pushback that we get from the animal welfare community almost becomes so great that the amount of effort we have to put into fighting that back makes it, risk, reward, cost, benefit. We can't do it. So we've done some real low cost adoptions, like we're doing $20 adoptions. I'll give you an example. We did one, I think it was last year during Clear the Shelters, called Name Your Own Price. And it could be anything above $5. And we would do posts about, this person named their price of this. And what we found in the end was that the average price was actually higher than our normal adoption fee once you aggregated it all together. But we would literally have people comment on our Facebook, like we posted a picture of a white lady who had adopted a dog, and it said, Jane Doe named her price of $30 or $20 or whatever for this adoption. And we literally had a woman comment on that picture, these aren't the kinds of people you have to worry about. It's just so blatant, and it's so clear to me what she meant by that. I think that when you look at those applications, when you look at low cost adoptions and the pushback for that, there's just so much about what has happened in this industry for years that you can root not 7 degrees of separation, 1 degree of separation back to racism. It's right there. It's sitting right there. And I think that the more we acknowledge it, hopefully that'll convince more people that we need to get past it.
What are the top 3 things you are doing at your shelter to be more inclusive?
When it comes to being inclusive, it's critical in Memphis when 67% of our population is African American. And so what we've done is we've made sure that our staff is involved in evaluating all of our existing policies and procedures by creating a task force that it's minority staff members, and they are driving change for us. They're coming up with things we can do better in the future to be more inclusive in every aspect of our operation, from hiring to adoption to marketing, et cetera. And then we also, with our existing staff, we need to make sure that staff is reflective of our community, that the people in our building look like the people who are coming in our doors, and that those people are armed with 2 distinct skills, one being a love for animals and one being a like for people. You don't have to love them, but you at least have to like them. And the willingness and the desire and the motivation to put those 2 things together, to put a willing adopter together with a pet, and to do it through conversation, not how can I keep this from happening? How do we get to yes here today? And our team does that every day.
I love that. It's about conversation and kindness. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
McKenna, tell us about a roadblock that you yourself struggled to let go of.
I've been in the field a long time, so I've had a lot of roadblocks that I have gone through. But I got to say, the one thing that comes to mind is my pit bull roadblock. So when I first started at Lynchburg Humane Society, they had a lot of roadblocks. Like you couldn't adopt a puppy or kitten if you had children under age 5. You couldn't adopt if you had more than 4 animals in the household. Any unaltered pets, you can't adopt. I mean, there was a whole slew of things, landlord checks. So we got rid of all of those. Those were the easy ones for me to get rid of. But when it came to pit bulls and pit bull adoption policies, I struggled with that, to change how we housed pit bulls, because it's not always about adoptions, how we managed pit bulls in our shelter, and how we would place them in the community. And I went to a conference and I listened to experts in the field speak on the topic. And I immediately came back and made changes, because we were treating them differently. We were treating pit bulls differently. So how could we expect the community to see them as just any other dog when we were so often having difficulty placing them? But it all started from us. We set the tone. So we started them, playing them in large play groups, not just by themselves. We started housing them together. We took away all of our restrictive behavior evaluations about them. And we took away landlord checks. And we took away the heavy-handed counseling that we would do. And you know what? We don't have a problem with adopting out pit bulls. I mean, just that little change of our own attitude and our own fears, because they all stemmed from fears. All barriers and roadblocks do, like Alexis said. And so when we recognized what that fear was, and we tried it, and we tracked it, did we have more dog fights? No. Did we have more returns? No. Were we finding great adopters? Yes. So it was a chance to kind of take a look in the mirror and say, we have to change this if we're going to make any real difference in the population in our shelter. So that was one. And free adoptions, honestly, Alexa, I had trouble with free adoptions at first. But again, I tried it. We saw the people coming in were amazing, and we didn't have any higher decline rates. Roadblocks aren't always about adoptions. You should also look at your signage, what your environment is. Are you welcoming people in, or are you putting up sign roadblocks? Or it can also be about foster. Are you requiring orientations? Are you requiring that they be interviewed first? I mean, it's not just about adoptions. There's a lot of different, your hours of operations, that can be a roadblock. Are you having more hours to bring animals in and less hours for adoptions? Your Facebook could be a roadblock. Your website could be a roadblock. There's so many different things that you may not even think about. So look to other organizations to come in and assess your situation and say, walk through and tell me how you feel walking in the front door. Is the stop sign, stop, do not enter without, like all of those little things makes a huge difference.
A question to both of you, first Alexis and then McKenna. If you're talking to a shelter who is worried that they're unable to achieve no-kill or a 90% benchmark, what advice would you give them?
One of my child's favorite movies as an example. I have a 4-year-old daughter who loves Frozen 2. And Anna said in the movie, the next right thing, right? That was a song, the next right thing. So if you're coming to work every day and you're doing the next right thing, and then after that, you're doing the next right thing. Well, guess what? You've just done a series of right things that is leading you in the right direction. And so I just, stay strong. It feels hopeless. I have I promise you, I am not immune. I have my days where I say, that's it. Throw in the towel. I'm out of here. We all have our rough days, but if you can just do the next right thing and stay focused on what is your goal? Where are you trying to go, and keep doing the thing that's in front of you right now that feels like it's getting in that direction. Forward progress is always the answer.
I couldn't really answer that question any better than she did. I mean, that's exactly it. You look in, when we're dealing with shelters that are so focused on that 90%, we try and get them to do incremental goals. Like, let's reach, if you're at 50%, let's just get to 70%. Or what are some easy things you can do to save 100 more this year? Or let's save 200 more this year. So I agree. I mean, it's all about doing better when you know better, right? When you know better, you do better. And so you're going in the right direction. So let's just keep the forward motion. And when you hit a problem or a roadblock, call somebody.
Yeah.
There's enough people out there who've been in that same situation. So let's call someone at Best Friends. Let's call another organization that we're pairing you up to mentor you, but don't do it alone. I mean, none of us did it alone. So it does take a village to get to that 90% threshold, and not to be afraid when you need help.
I love that. That's great advice from both of you. Reach out. There are over 2,000 no-kill shelters, and they all want to help you succeed. So
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you, for the great examples you're putting out there, for persevering and just breaking through those roadblocks. Appreciate your time today. We're going to save them all, right? Self-reflection and the ability to really look at our own biases and work hard on shedding them will continue to be important for anyone who's committed to lifelong learning and who wants to save more lives. Because it's the key to the together we can save them all.